This is Stefan Schmidt for InsiderIowa.com. We have just concluded the Iowa First in the Nation presidential caucuses, and the question now is, where do we go from here? Well, this is very interesting. Mitt Romney, of course, won the Iowa caucuses, and he is headed for New Hampshire, where he's expected to win. He's way ahead in the polls, but he's also headed to South Carolina, because in New Hampshire it would be very difficult for him to lose, so he needs to just make sure that he meets the expectations and gets the people to turn out for him. But in South Carolina, he needs to also position himself for a good performance. So he's going to do South Carolina and New Hampshire. The other winner in Iowa, because there were two, Rick Santorum, really has very little chance in New Hampshire, I believe, and therefore he, I think, is going to take a stand and go to South Carolina. He was not expected to win in Iowa. He doesn't have much of an organization. He has very little money, and I think he's going to build all of that up and go to South Carolina and try to compete very hard there. And I think it'll be a race between those two and the other winner in Iowa, who came in third but is still a pretty strong candidate, well-financed, and that's Ron Paul, the congressman from Texas, who has run in several presidential elections. And I think those three are going to try to compete for the primary voters in South Carolina, which is the first southern state in the American contest for nomination. The other candidate that comes into the mix is one who did poorly in Iowa. Newt Gingrich fell from first place to fourth, but Newt Gingrich is from the South. He's from Georgia. He lives in Virginia, I believe. South Carolina looks like a state that is pretty good for him, unless he's been damaged so badly by sex scandals and, you know, the accusations that he was not really, the clean candidate that people expected. So I think you're going to see a contest in South Carolina of four candidates, the ones I've just mentioned, and it's going to be very intense. It is going to be life and death for, I think, Newt Gingrich. It is going to be another state that Mitt Romney needs to do reasonably well in to prove that he can not only win in a socially conservative state like Iowa, but that he can also win a southern state or do very well in a southern state. And that contest I'm going to watch with a lot of enthusiasm, because I think it's going to be very interesting to see what happens there. Somebody may end up dropping out after South Carolina. There is still Florida coming after that. Those are the January primaries. And I think that you'll probably see at least four, maybe only three of the Iowa political contenders reach Florida and take a stand there. I doubt if anybody new is going to come in. That's always a question, because I think the field has settled. I think that Mitt Romney has shown sufficient skills and sufficient sort of, if not charisma, at least good qualities to run as a candidate. And by the time the southern primaries come in, he will be ready to continue to compete. So I'm looking very much forward to how the results of the Iowa caucus and New Hampshire primary play themselves out in the southern states, which constitute often a big firewall for some of the candidates, where they can stop someone from running them over. But for others, the southern states are insurmountable obstacles that they just can't overcome. So I hope you will watch as carefully as I will the next sequence of contests: New Hampshire, South Carolina, Florida. And of course, as always, we will be sharing with you our opinions, and thank you for contacting us and sharing your views as well. This is Stefan Schmidt for InsiderIowa.com.